the SFA from simple to spectacular, where we're going to take simple sentences and add subordinating conjunctions and dependent clauses to make them rich and robust. Anyone can write a simple sentence, but really strong writers know how to take simple sentences, think of some other connection or some other additional information to add, and link that together with a subordinating conjunction and a dependent clause. Now, if those words just sound like gibberish to you, perfect, because we're going to walk through what does a subordinating conjunction mean and do, and the same thing for a dependent clause. So with that, let's dive into from simple to spectacular. This slide right here is really outlining kind of what to do each day if you are going to make it a 5-day skill focus activity, taking about 5 to 10 minutes every day. You'll just walk through the slides that are here for you. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this one. So let's dive in, right? And also, this is the link for the student worksheet and the answer key. Okay, so day one, here we are. Let's talk simple sentences for a moment. A simple sentence needs to have one subject and one predicate, and that makes a complete simple sentence, right? So we have the sample down here. Kai scored a goal. Really, we just need Kai scored. That's all we would need to have a subject and a predicate, but a goal gives us the object of what he scored. And so now we have a complete subject and complete predicate, which creates our independent clause, right? Or a complete simple sentence, right? So that's a neat way of kind of thinking about as we get into the more complex sentences that an independent clause is a simple sentence. Or let me say it differently. A simple sentence is an independent clause because it basically stands alone. It's independent. It doesn't need any other words around it to be a complete sentence. Okay. We're color coding here for you as well to just keep all the parts of speech and all the parts of sentences clear. So our orange is for the independent clause, our blue for subjects, and our green for predicates. So let's talk about what happens with a complex sentence. Now we have still that simple sentence, right? That independent clause of Kai scored a goal, but notice that we're adding in a subordinating conjunction. In this case, it's in pink, and a dependent clause in purple. So Kai scored a goal, even though that is a conjunction that connects the first part of the sentence, that independent clause, with more information, even though what, right? We need more that we have to add to the sentence, even though he was injured. Oh, now we know why his goal was so incredible that he scored, right? Not just that he scored a goal, but he did it despite being injured, right? So that subordinating conjunction, even though, gives us a clue as to what type of information is going to be coming, right? It's some kind of against the odds or despite or some kind of something that some kind of obstacle, right, that could have kept him from scoring that goal. So we're going to take a look at another sentence here. The volcano erupted. Simple sentence, breaking it down into our volcano and erupted as our predicate. So this one really is that very simple, complete sentence. Okay. And now we're going to take a look at adding on that subordinating conjunction and a dependent clause. So the volcano erupted after what? Right? After pressure built up inside the magma chamber. So this one is, again, following the steps of an independent clause, that simple sentence, pulling in that subordinating conjunction, and then bringing in a dependent clause to really add some length. So these subordinating conjunctions are a really important set of words for you to learn. They are glue words that help join that dependent clause to that independent clause, to that simple sentence. And it is a way that can turn a simple sentence into a complex sentence. Okay? So one thing to keep in mind, because there are a lot of subordinating conjunctions, is what is the relationship? What's the goal of the simple sentence or that independent clause and what you want to share after? And so we have several listed here. It could be to tell the time or to show cause or effect or contrast, condition, or purpose. Okay. And so that's what we're going to get into next. This is a wonderful resource for you. It is several of the categories of subordinating conjunctions with lots of options in there. So each of the words that's in one of the colors is a subordinating conjunction that you can use in your writing to tell more information in your sentences. Okay, so this is something that you don't need to memorize, but you definitely want to know and be familiar with and pull out when you are writing, because we know these words add so much power to your sentences because they make you add additional information to it. All right, so this is a part of day one where we are going to do some sorting of the of independent clauses, subordinating conjunctions, and dependent clauses. So you can see all the words and phrases down at the bottom, and your task is to click and drag and move them where they go. Is the word while, is that an independent clause? Spoiler alert, no, it's not, but I won't tell you where it goes. All right, you're going to use your resources and put those independent clauses, subordinating conjunctions, and dependent clauses into the right categories in this classifying design. Okay, so this is all I'll share on this slide to let you have a chance to do this. And that will be the end of what we do on day one, right? So now on day two, what I want you to look at is what happens when we take a simple sentence and make it complex. And so you can see here 3 different examples showing 3 different subordinating conjunctions. So it's kind of like an input-output machine, right? That's one way to kind of think about what we're doing here with sentences. So we have short or simple sentence inputs. We make them complex by adding that subordinating conjunction and dependent clause. So here is the answers to what we did on day one. Hopefully you put them in the right spot. This is where the different independent clauses, subordinating conjunctions, and dependent clauses go. And now we're going to take each of those and build out our sentence. So there's one sentence about the metal, one sentence about a balloon, and one about a skateboard. And so you have to think about what subordinating conjunction will fit based on what we have as the dependent clause for the sentences, right? So we can't say the metal bent while the hill became steeper, right? That doesn't make sense. So you need to make sure that what you're putting into each of the columns for each of the rows is making the best sentence and a coherent sentence. Okay? So this will be an opportunity for you to put this down on your paper, to have some discussion, talk through what makes sense, what makes these sentences flow nicely together. All right. For day 3, what we're going to do here is take a sentence and deconstruct it into its independent clause. Where's the subordinating conjunction, and what is the dependent clause that finishes out the sentence, right? So in this case, we have, oh, actually, we've got another one, right? So we've got our first sentence here. The clouds grew darker, although the sun was still trying to shine. Okay, so take a moment, pop in or write in the 3 different sections. What belongs in each of those boxes? You have the same for sentence number 2. The wind picked up before the rain began to fall. Okay, where do you see a subordinating conjunction, and then what goes in front and behind that subordinating conjunction? It's one way to think about it, right? And one more sentence here. The shelter will hold unless lightning strikes it. Okay, now on to day 4. So in the answer key, there will be the clues to how those sentences should be divided out, but hopefully you are really feeling like you're a great detective for searching for those subordinating conjunctions and then knowing where the independent and the dependent clause is based on that. What we're going to do here on day 4 is taking an independent clause, using a wheel that we're going to get to spin, and then be able to see what complex sentence we can make from it. So when you are doing this, you'll be able to click on the wheel and it will take you to a website where the wheel will actually spin. Okay. So what we're just demonstrating here is that we're going to land on the subordinating conjunction unless. Okay. So you can't play your Xbox unless what? Unless what? Unless you finish your homework, right? Okay, sound like your mom at the moment, but that's really important, right? We want to make sure that you know when you can play your Xbox, right? It has to be when your homework is finished. So that's that dependent clause. You finish your homework, and it tells us when you can play your Xbox. Okay, so there we go with our full sentence. You can't play your Xbox unless you finish your homework. All right, what about the bees buzzed away? Okay, so then you are going to spin the wheel, choose whatever subordinating conjunction it lands on, and then finish out your sentence based on that. So you have to make sure that the dependent clause makes sense based on what the subordinating conjunction is. The cheetah slowed down. Here's your next one. And again, you'll just click on your wheel right here. See how my cursor is changing to the clickable little finger. So that's telling you it's going to take you to a website to do this. And then we've got the bird built a nest. So lots of sentences for you just to practice coming up with a complex sentence based on whatever subordinating conjunction you land on. All right. And here we go backwards for our last day together on our day 5 of the SFA. We're going to start with a dependent clause. Everyone is here. And then let's say we spun the wheel again and we got on unless. And now we've got to think about what that independent clause could be. Something unless everyone is here. We can't start the movie. Oh, okay. We can't start the movie unless everyone is here. Or unless everyone is here, we can't start the movie. So that's one thing I love as you work with these subordinating conjunctions is that you think about starting your sentence with the subordinating conjunction and the dependent clause and then go into the independent clause. So these boxes are somewhat movable. The pink and the purple need to stay together, but you can move those to the front of your sentence, right? Isn't that so neat? Here it is with the independent clause first. We can't start the movie unless everyone is here, but we can reverse that and say, unless everyone is here, we can't start the movie. Okay. Here is our next one. Oops. The lava hardened. Goes back to some volcano examples we've done. The glacier melted. Okay. And just take note that sometimes a conjunction doesn't vibe or doesn't make sense with that dependent clause. That's okay. If you can't come up with something that all connects, just spin the wheel again and choose a different one. But most of them should be able to fit. So let your brain grapple, let your brain think, talk with others, and figure out what you could put into your sentences to complete the most impressive, complex sentences. All right. Hope you enjoyed this SFA and write some brilliantly complex sentences that are stretching your thinking, that are adding in these really rich words to your writing. And can't wait to see what you do. Happy writing.